Let's bring in Alexis Linkletter, true crime documentary producer, as well as an investigative journalist. Alexis, thank you so much for your time right now. I know very busy day for you, a lot to unpack here. So we've just learned that Heuermann is charged in the deaths of 3 of the 11 victims recovered in that area. But of course, as you know, there were those 4 remains found very close to one another. They're known as the Gilgo 4. Or the Gilgo 4. Any idea why he would not be charged with at least that 4th death as well?
Well, it's my understanding that they used cell phone data to make this arrest, and they probably are just using their strongest evidence in these indictments. And my assumption would be that a 4th would follow. Anything that could connect him via cell phone to that 4th victim, they're probably getting it together, but just wanted to seize the moment to get him in custody as soon as possible. And possibly the evidence they had for the 3 victims was the strongest. So that's what they led with.
Which would make sense. And we just want to let our viewers know Alexis is in her car because she is on her way to that press conference that is supposed to start at the top of the next hour. So we heard from that attorney for the family of one of the victims, Mr. John Ray. He just spoke after the suspect was arraigned. We heard from him earlier today. He was also just part of Sloan's piece there. But let's hear some of what John Ray had to say just about an hour and a half ago.
We believe that there are multiple killers. By multiple, it can be anywhere than more than one. The evidence is extremely strong for that, and that's already been discussed at great length in the past, but nonetheless, it remains true. And what's really important here is that we recognize that this is finally the beginning.
All right, so he mentioned at the top of that multiple killers. Do you think this is the work of multiple killers? Because again, there are very different MOs at work here.
It's hard to say. It appears to be different MOs unless you look at it kind of in a linear way. When you look at the earlier crimes, we see dismemberment, we see separation of a lot of the body parts across Long Island. And then in the later crimes, we see that they were disposed in a completely different way. So it could be the evolution. It could be the evolution of a single killer's MO changing, or it could be several. I think it's so early to tell. But based on what Rex Heuermann said himself in some of the clips that have been played, he has been working in the city as an architect since 1987. So it's certainly possible. If you look at the earliest cases, he could be responsible for those too. So it's fascinating, and we'll just have to see how it plays out.
Yeah, we certainly, again, there's just so much that we have to wait to find out. Hopefully we'll get a little bit more information in that press conference. Alexis, as we do wait for the update from police, is there any indication on what finally led investigators to Heuermann? I mean, do we know what finally put him on the radar of police, or is it possible maybe he had been on their radar and then finally there was something that just clicked into place?
I think, based on interviews I did with Tim Sini, who was the former DA, he told me some years ago that they were using really complex algorithms to analyze cell phone data and doing cell phone data dumps. And that's something they'd been working on for years. And based on some of the early reporting, it appears that that is what entangled Rex Heuermann, and that they have used cell phone to connect him. And we know some of the early calls that were made to taunt victims were made from Massapequa. So it's really all coming together and looking really hopeful and promising that he is, in fact, at least responsible for these 4 murders.
Thank you for watching. Go to newsnationnow.com to find NewsNation on your television provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.